Wanting to wish you a happy Christmas. Hope you had a good Christmas, whatever you got up to. My husband and I had a very quiet one here. We had my mother-in-law up for 17 days. What was I thinking? Realised I made a mistake by day 2. But we decided to have her up for a couple of weeks at the beginning of December so that we could have Christmas and New Year just to ourselves, just us and our 4 cats. So we had a very quiet one. Didn't even have a full turkey dinner. We had turkey sandwiches in the evening. We went out for a walk during the day. We went out for a walk yesterday, Boxing Day as well. And what did we have? We had steak for dinner. Again, just very, very quiet, just how we like it. Bit surprised today that it's snowing. Wasn't expecting it to snow over Christmas. So hopefully that will settle. It's a bit squelchy underfoot, so I'm not convinced it will stay. But I hope whatever your Christmas was like, it was how you wanted it to be, because it is really important that we enjoy Christmas and do what we want rather than doing perhaps what is expected. Now, I don't want to worry you, but there are just 5 days left of 2017. Oh my goodness. And I thought I'd share with you my organisation tradition at this time of year. This week between Christmas and New Year is actually quite a busy one for me and my husband, as we have our annual traditions, which are a variety of things. So for example, I'm in the middle of creating a photo book, which I call the Baker Annual. Just like those annuals you used to get as a child for the TV programmes that you like to watch, we're now able to create our own annuals, aren't we? We have one for each year where we put the photographs and explain the memories of what we've done over that year. It's so easy to forget. Well, when did we do that? Oh my goodness, yeah, I'd forgotten about that. So I'm putting together our Baker Annual for 2017, which is actually good fun as well, as being nice and creative. You do them online and you can order them online. It's also a time when we look at our household bills and do those comparisons online to make sure that we're getting the best possible deal for our gas and electricity, see if we can save some money. That way we can start 2018 knowing that we're not wasting money. So we do look at the nuts and bolts and the numbers during this time. We only do it once a year. Because chopping and changing too many times throughout the year just isn't worth it. Whereas we do one proper review, if you like, in this week between Christmas and New Year. I also spend time decluttering my computer and in particular my email inbox. Hands up who has a lot of emails in their email inbox. We look at emails, don't we, and then we go, oh yeah, I'll deal with that later, or I'll sort that out later. Just like our clutter. We leave it for another day or another time and it never comes around, does it? So when it's relatively quiet, I just take that opportunity to just go through my inbox and delete or move emails depending on what needs to happen to them. I also declutter the clutter clearing office. I am a former clutterholic, remember, so clutter can get a little bit out of control. I can sometimes think, you know, oh yeah, I'll keep that because that might come in useful information. Information junkie alert, that's me. So it is an opportunity to go, you know what, I'm going to clear out the clutter to make sure that the office only has what it needs and will use next year. So if there's anything I find that I decided to keep after last year's Christmas New Year clutter clearing session in the office, and I haven't used it over the last year, it comes out of the office and off my clutter clearing conveyor belt. And that is being realistic. That's not being ruthless. That's being realistic. I kept it last year thinking I will use that. Or I may use that, and I haven't used it, so it goes. It can be hard sometimes because you think, oh, but that would be really good, but it hasn't been used, so it wasn't that good, and it wasn't essential. It didn't stop my world turning, so it can go. And it's also that time of year when I do my tax return. Very dull, I know, but again, it's just a good opportunity while it's relatively quiet to just take stock. The phones aren't going, the email isn't going quite so mad, and I can just concentrate on getting an important job done rather than leaving it to the last minute. Probably one of the most significant things I do in this week between Christmas and New Year, though, is that I look back on the hopes and goals that I set myself this time last year. Because at this time I set myself some goals and some think about my hopes for where I want to be this time next year. And I can think about what's gone well, what's not gone quite so well. Just take a moment to think about, okay, well, why didn't I achieve that goal? Why didn't that hope come true? Because ultimately, we're only going to learn by our mistakes, and we can only learn by our mistakes when we acknowledge what those mistakes are. That doesn't mean that we've failed. It means that we need to perhaps do something slightly differently in order to achieve something better next time. Albert Einstein famously said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. But if we keep doing the same thing, we'll keep getting the same results, won't we? So again, I take this opportunity in this relatively quiet time between Christmas and New Year to just reflect back on how I've got on with taking steps towards where I want to be each year. Otherwise, each year would be the same, wouldn't it? And I could get to the point where I'm regretting things again and again and again. So I take the time to reflect and think, well, what could I do slightly differently to achieve those things that I didn't manage to achieve this year, that I had hoped that I would achieve. Now, it's really important when doing this, if you're going to do this exercise like me, is to distinguish between what's the difference between a goal, a dream, and a New Year's resolution. Lots of people will be making New Year's resolutions at this time of year, and the majority of us will fail at New Year's resolutions. So I'm very careful. I am not thinking about what are my New Year's resolutions for next year. I'm thinking about what my goals are. So what's the difference? A dream. What is a dream? A dream is simply a wish without a plan. So it might be, my dream is, I can't even think of a dream. I'm so used to thinking practical, how would I achieve it? My dream might be, in years gone by, when I had my clutter challenge back in 2001, probably one of my dreams was that a gorgeous man would come into my life and solve everything for me, and that was it. That was before I started to take responsibility for my clutter challenge. Now that doesn't have a plan. How's that going to happen? He's not just going to turn up on the door and ring the doorbell and say, I'm here. So it's obviously a dream because there is no plan of how I would achieve that. Wouldn't want that anyway. Not now. A goal. So what's the difference between a dream and a goal? Well, a goal is actually something that is specific. It's measurable. You can say, yes, I've achieved that goal. And you have a plan of how you're going to achieve that goal. So, for example, 2 years ago, my goal at this time of year, I set myself a goal of I wanted to lose 3 stone in weight. So that's 42 pounds in weight. It was specific, so I actually had a number attached to it. It was measurable. I would be able to step on the scales and see whether I had lost 42 pounds or 3 stone. But I also had a plan of how I was going to get there. I was having weekly counselling, I changed my eating plan, I introduced exercise to become part of my daily routine. I had a goal. It was specific, it was measurable, and I had a plan of how I was going to achieve it. What's the difference between a goal and a New Year's resolution? Well, a New Year's resolution is a decision that you are going to do something or not do something over the course of the whole year. And it's usually not broken down into small short-term goals. So having a New Year's resolution that lasts the whole year, is it surprising that we don't usually stick to our New Year's resolutions, because it seems so far away, 365 days to achieve this goal, this dream. Whereas when you have a goal, you tend to break it down into small, manageable, bite-sized pieces that are also specific, measurable, and has a plan. So, with my weight loss 2 years ago, my goal was to have lost 3 stone by that Christmas. It was specific. It was to lose weight. It was measurable. I could see whether I was losing the pounds on the scales, and I had a plan. I was doing the exercise and the eating. But I did have smaller short-term goals as well. I was able to see whether or not I was losing weight each and every week when I stepped on the scales. I could count the number of times I went to the gym each week. I wasn't leaving it all to the last minute. Whereas a New Year's resolution, it seems so far away. And then we either forget about it or we leave it until October or November and think, hang on a minute, I haven't done anything towards my New Year's resolution. And then it becomes a panic, a bit like a blitz when you have a clutter challenge. So that's the difference between a dream, a goal, and a New Year's resolution. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I believe in setting myself goals for each year that are specific, measurable, and for which I create a plan of how I'm going to achieve them. So, for example, last year I set myself some goals. One goal was having a summer barbecue with my friends, my neighbours and family. It was specific. It was a barbecue. It was going to happen in the summer. It happened in July. It was measurable. I'd know whether it was happening because friends, neighbours and family were going to come to it. They would have replied to my invitation. And I had a plan of how I was going to achieve that goal. I saved a little bit each month to be able to buy all of the food and the drink that I wanted to buy to host it. I had a plan of sending out the invitations a month before so that people could RSVP. Couldn't quite plan the weather, but thankfully, touch wood, it was good weather. It didn't rain or anything. So that was a very specific, achievable goal. And I can go, tick, yeah, I achieved that goal this year. Another goal was to not work weekends, to actually have my weekends for myself and for my hobbies and spending time with my husband. It's very easy when you run your own business to just end up spending all your time working, especially if you enjoy it like I do. But I had some other goals, you see. So that was a really important goal, and I can go tick. I didn't work many weekends, only when it was absolutely necessary. Because another goal that I set myself last year was to enjoy my hobby of gardening and to finish creating my garden. And again, I can look back on it now and go, tick, done. Now, you look at it and it does look a little bare. That's because they're new plants that have gone in. They need to grow and flourish. And come the spring, I'm sure they will grow a few feet. And it will blossom out. But the landscaping is all done. The paths are there. The birds are coming in and eating off the bird feeders that are there. We had what did we have this year? We had tomatoes and beans and broccoli. The caterpillars ate the cauliflower, but we had a lovely harvest of food. Managed to finish the planting. I now look out in the garden, even in the snow today, and I go, oh, I achieved that goal of finishing off the garden. Now there's still more that I want to do. The patio needs doing. I'd like some nice garden furniture. But the goal that I set myself that was specific and measurable and I had a plan for was to finish the landscaping of the garden, and I succeeded at doing that. So that was good to have done that. I also set myself another goal of losing another 2 stone or 28 pounds in weight. I succeeded in that, and I actually surpassed that. I lost 2.5 stone or 35 pounds, which I was really pleased with. Again, it was specific, it was measurable, I had a plan. I know that I did better than I expected. Now, I've still got weight that I need to, and want to lose, and I will do that this year. But if I'd set myself a goal of saying I'm going to lose all the weight I need to lose this year, I would have failed. And I'd be feeling pretty bad about myself and going, oh, you didn't do that, Claire, can't tick that off the list. And I would be beating myself up about it. But I'm not, because I set myself a realistic goal of saying, essentially, £0.5 a week. And so some weeks I've lost more than £0.5, some weeks I haven't. But overall, it means that I've got to this point and I can look at my goals that I set myself last year and go, tick, done. So it feels really, really good. There was a goal that I set myself that I didn't manage to achieve, and that was starting training to become a therapist, a trained therapist, because I want to specialise in the hoarding for the therapy. At the moment, hoarders, when I work with hoarders, I insist that they have parallel counselling to deal with the issues and the attachments that they have to their clutter. It's hard to find therapists, especially in different areas, locations, geographically, that can actually help at this specialist level. So I thought, okay, I'm going to train to become a therapist so that I can do the practical help like I do, and I can do the therapy, counselling side of it as well, rather than people not being able to get my help because they can't find a therapist that specialises in that area. I haven't started my training for that. That's okay. I can carry that goal over. If I hadn't achieved any of my goals this year, then that might be procrastination that was kicking in. But because I have achieved the majority of the goals I set myself this time last year, I know that this one goal that I haven't achieved is not procrastination, it's circumstances. Because I've been spending my weekends doing my hobby of gardening. It's because I was planning in the first part of the year my barbecue. It's because I've been working, not weekends. And again, I've had a balanced life. It hasn't been all or nothing. I've been very aware of making sure that I have fun time as well. So do you see how having goals is often more meaningful and achievable than New Year's resolutions and just dreams? So what were your goals in 2017? Did you have any? Did you set any for yourself? Or do you think actually with hindsight you set yourself New Year's resolutions and dreams which are harder to stick to and to achieve? Did you succeed at the goals that you set yourself for 2017, if indeed you set some goals? Do feel free to comment in that comment box below, because I like to know that I'm not alone in terms of perhaps not achieving all of my goals. Now, maybe you didn't set yourself any goals and you've not achieved what you perhaps wanted to achieve, or you're not where you thought you would be by this time this year. That's fine, don't worry, you're perfectly normal. Again, it's taken me quite a few years to get to this point where I have this routine and I can get myself focused. Don't worry though, because tomorrow I'm going to share with you an exercise that I actually do at this time every year. So you're going to see me do this exercise that I do every year at this time. And it helps me set realistic goals that are specific, measurable, and it helps me create a plan to get a meaningful 2018, so that this time next year I can sit here, you can watch this and you can go, yeah, I did, tick, tick, tick. I achieved some of the goals that I set myself. Probably not all. I don't think I've ever had a year where I've ticked all of the goals that I set myself. But by doing the exercise that I'm going to share with you tomorrow, you've got a much better chance of at least achieving some of the goals that you set yourself, and indeed identifying what goals really matter for you in 2018. So look out for a video from me tomorrow. But in the meantime, just take a moment to reflect on 2017. Think about what went well, what didn't go quite so well, what would you like to do differently, where would you like to be this time next year, and just ponder. And then we will build on that in tomorrow's video. All right, take care. Have a lovely 27th of December, and I shall see you tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.